Valeria Rodriguez, Venture, Overwatch, Akane, Ranma, Laguna, MHG3, Sucrose, Genshin. Might need to update that one. Got some news for you, Valeria. Don't know if you heard about this, as it's being reported, and thank you everyone who's tagged me to this news, that Sucrose's VA got recast for the version 5.8. So yeah, might need to update that Twitter profile and also that Blue Sky bio too. Don't forget about that one. Sucrose Genshin. And so the screenshot shows information about Sucrose, and we can see English CV, Valeria Rodriguez, and Anonymous. Similarly to prior recasts in Hoyo games, whenever there's an Anonymous added, that tends to mean that the prior VA got replaced, and there's a new one who, at the moment at least, and perhaps in perpetuity, is anonymous. Why would they want to remain anonymous? Perhaps they don't want to get attacked by the SAG-AFTRA clique, for example, those certain VAs we often see over on Blue Sky, and or they're worried about getting blacklisted by the union, you know, X, Y, and Z, all that stuff. And well, check this out. Just about 8 minutes ago, Valeria has indirectly confirmed that she did get recast, it looks like, saying, "Happy recast day. Totally cool if you're happy about the recast and want to talk trash. I literally don't care. That's your right. But this is freaking disgusting and an insane lie to post. If you don't take it down, I'll consider pursuing legal action." And showing a screenshot of someone accusing her of doing something really gross that I'm not even going to show here on screen. I'm going to stick on the focus of the whole recast news stuff. And this is just funny. Like, Valeria's trying to spin this as some sort of dub or something, I think is the implication here. She made this tweet minutes ago saying freedom, posting this doggo, but like freedom, really? So freedom is you getting fired? Really? Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you didn't like working as Sucrose, you could have just left at any point in time, you know, if you're going to try and spin it like that, but for whatever reason you didn't, and it took Hoyoverse getting rid of you, apparently, for you to have this freedom that you're allegedly celebrating or whatever. It's just comes off as a giant coat post, in my opinion, really. I mean, who would fall for this? So let's hop down memory lane. Jacob Takanashi made this post, as you guys all know, of course, mentioning that he was now going to be Kenichi Genshin, replacing John Patnode. Bunch of VAs in the clique, and SAG-AFTRA bootlickers, etc., etc. Then harassed Jacob, tried to spin it like he was this terrible person, tried to gaslight the fans, the gamers, etc., into supporting them, and then they all got called out and all backfired. You know, it's all history. But Valeria, Valeria spams the thumbs down emoji, gets a response that says, "This is not the sweet Sucrose I used to know." And Valeria says, "I am not Sucrose." Yeah, you say that here, but you'll gladly like put Sucrose in your bio, and I presume like try to use Sucrose to promote your anime convention appearances and stuff like that, right? But I digress. She says, "I am not Sucrose. Sucrose is a character I voice. I owe no one sweetness, especially when their actions are unkind." And as you'd expect, the responses are full of people calling her out, just like they called out all of the SAG clique who was getting all mad at Jacob in the responses to his announcement. She elaborated on this all more here, saying, "I express dislike / negativity towards someone doing something I find morally reprehensible, scabbing, and they think it's evil, so they're flaming me, or unprofessional. I don't know anymore." We're not going to go through all of it. You know, there's a lot of back and forth with her getting upset at people for criticizing the SAG-AFTRA VAs who are going after Jacob and all that stuff. But there was actually a situation back in August of 2024 where Valeria was already getting a lot of backlash for what occurred right here, where we have our one and only permaban saying another Genshin English VA is attacking people over their less than sympathetic reaction to an English VA being let go by their employer. She smeared and supported boycotts of. What makes it funny is how this VA is trying to pull quote unquote nerd as if it's some insult, conveniently forgetting these nerds, quote unquote, are the people who ultimately pay the VA salary, lol. And so we can see back last year, this VA, Courtney Lynn, said, "Oof, jumping back on Twitter to say your voices matter, and I'm so proud of our community for using theirs. Retweet, email, speak up, our community is strong." In my opinion, this came off like an immense virtue signal. According to my recollection, this was about when people were trying to like get all mad at Hoyoverse for Sumeru, saying that the representation wasn't good enough, and you had a bunch of like Twitter police saying that they were going to boycott Genshin. Of course, they didn't end up boycotting Genshin at all, and the whole boycott movement never went anywhere. and you saw a bunch of just some of the most peak performative activism you could possibly imagine from a lot of these English voice actors who were acting like they support the boycott, and various even Genshin streamers who were saying that they support the boycott and stuff. Of course, these people were still gladly streaming and promoting Genshin, and these people were still gladly playing and spending money on Genshin, and even if they weren't spending money, they were still playing and contributing to the active player base, which still indirectly funds Hoyoverse. So the whole thing, as mentioned, was just peak performative activism. And that led to this tweet, again, according to my recollection, from Courtney Lin, and this response from Normal Degen Behavior, who said, this is obviously a very much meme-y response, by the way, if you couldn't tell, but he says, "So proud of my community. My community is so powerful and brave for getting rid of you. It's wonderful to let all voices be heard, but not yours. What a wonderful community. My community loves my community, and love is love, and community is community, and we love our community." So it's just like meme-y, nonsensical response to what Courtney had said, kind of like using her own rhetoric against her and just like, you know, joking around about it, but also unironically celebrating how she got recast, it looks like. A screenshot saying, "Optimizes the English, Japanese, and Korean voiceovers for parts of the story, change the English voice actors for agents Lucy and Sukaku, and replace the corresponding voice lines." And Valeria finds out about this. She sees it on Twitter, and she just gets insanely upset. You can see here, her response is just seething. You can feel the anger through the screen, you know, like crazy. She says, "You're a freaking loser who's going to die alone, and I would bet $1,000 that you are incredibly depressed and hate yourself. Get therapy or rot alone in your bedroom, but leave nice people out of it, nerd. That, or have the balls to say this stuff in person, not behind a profile pic." And it's like, wow, if there was a tier list of pathetic tweets, you would think she was trying to speedrun being put at the top of that tier list or something with that weird rant of hers. And of course, as we now know, being reported today, almost a year after that tweet. So that was made on August 14th. Today is, of course, July 28th, almost a year later. And now we've also got Valeria getting replaced. Some of the tweets responding to Valeria have aged so well. Look at this one at the top. "So what you're saying is expect more characters to get new voices in the English version. Gotcha. Can't believe this fool voiced Sucrose." Bro, that's like a typo. Voiced, not voices, you know, but now the typo became reality. Crazy. Dang, can't wait for Hoyoverse to remove English dubs altogether. I met Valeria last year. I'm disappointed in her right now. Have the nerve to say that in person? Bet. I'd gladly do that. This lady, the projection in her reply is insane. Also calling people nerds. She does know the thing she is voice acting in is a video game, right? What those nerds play? What next? Calling people in anime conventions weebs while you work in said convention? And then this person saying, "I sense another VA being replaced in the future." Well, sure enough, he sensed correctly. Hopping back over to the present, that coat post Valeria made got a response that says, "Wait, what is this about? I'm confused." And Valeria adds on to her cope saying, "I got recast in a game I voiced in, but the fandom has been horrible to me and many folks I know for the last couple years. So now I'm saying I'm free from them, or from it, the chaos of it all." What a selfish thing to say, really. I mean, think about it. There are so many people who supported her as a VA, and all these VAs really, but they're the ones who completely took the mask off and showed how terrible they really are. But the fans were supporting these people and supporting her, and were very nice to her, and would go to meet her at conventions and support her work and say nice things to her on Twitter and all that. But hey, because they willingly decided to attack people on Twitter, go after Jacob Takanashi, try to treat the Hoyo fan base as if they're just a bunch of tools that these people could use to further their agenda of what many would say was an attempt to monopolize the industry via SAG, because they did all this stuff. "Oh, no, the Hoyo fans, they're the problem. They're so horrible to us. They're horrible to me." Dude, the victim mentality is crazy. Own up to what you guys did. I mean, you completely brought all this upon yourselves. Anyways, that's all I really got to say. Get recasted. Another one bites the dust. Many people are still expecting Shara Kirby to get official notice that Shara Kirby is going to get recast as Candace, as she made that like infamous crash out on her Blue Sky account saying like, "F Hoyoverse, I quit it, blah, blah, blah." According to my recollection, that's paraphrasing it too, but you get the point. The only reason we haven't heard about that probably is because I don't think Candace has had like actual screen time in the games, but like if she ever comes back, probably we'll get news about that too. That's like what people are expecting next, so we'll see if that happens. But for now, it's where we are. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed my coverage. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. Appreciate you. See you in the comments here and in the next one.